Welcome to Does It Matter by Brainy Ballers, where we dissect the game with cutting-edge analytics to give you the upper hand. We analyze everything from hand sizes to average depth of targets to uncover hidden trends that no one else sees. Say goodbye to guesswork and hello to data-driven domination. Because here at Brainy Ballers, we don't just watch the game, we understand it. So get ready, it's podcast time.
Welcome to the deep dive. So today, instead of just, the usual hot takes on the tight end position, we're going to jump straight into some advanced analytics. We're doing a deep dive on a very specific metric called speed score. It isn't just a player's raw 40-yard dash time, right?
No, not at all. It's more nuanced than that.
It's an adjusted metric. It basically weights that speed against the player's size.
Exactly. The best way to measure a player who manages to be both big and fast.
That perfect combo.
And that's really the whole mission of this deep dive. We're asking, does that physical profile actually, raise a player's ceiling?
And does it actually translate into fantasy points?
That's the question. And the data we're looking at is, it's enormous. We're talking about the top 50 PPR tight ends.
Going back how far?
All the way back to 2003. So a huge sample size.
Okay, so with a sample that big, you can really strip away the noise. The study basically pitted the elite guys, the top 10 fantasy finishers, against the lowest tiers. So guys finishing from 31st to 50th.
Right.
So what was the big foundational finding when you compare those two groups?
Well, the finding is, honestly, it's stunning. Since 2006, so for 18 straight seasons, the average speed score of the top 5 fantasy Ts was higher than the lower tier guys.
Wow. So that's a 100% hit rate.
It's a perfect 100%. It's pretty undeniable proof that this metric acts as a serious ceiling raiser.
That is a powerful correlation. But let me challenge this for a second. Are we just measuring draft capital in disguise here?
What do you mean by that?
The biggest, fastest guys are usually the ones drafted the earliest.
I see your point.
So does the research give us an actionable number, a specific benchmark that predicts success, no matter where a guy was drafted?
It does, and that's really the key. The analysis drilled down and found a speed score of 108 and higher.
108, that's the magic number.
Do you want to start dominating your drafts? At BrainyBallers.com, we've researched every metric under the sun for you to find which ones are best linked to fantasy points. You can access hundreds of metrics to sharpen your scouting abilities so you know which metrics matter and which are just noise. Stop guessing on which thresholds to look for within each metric. Big numbers can be misleading or irrelevant. Our Ultimate Athlete Blueprints reveal essential scouting metrics, their importance, and benchmarks within each metric that help predict a player's probability of being a success or bust. Elevate your scouting ability with Brainy Ballers Ultimate Athlete Blueprints today. Click the link in the description. Now back to the show.
And get this. Tight ends who clear that 108 threshold, they appear in the top 10 at a rate that's 38.2% higher than they do in the bottom 10.
A 38% bump is huge. That's a massive conversion rate.
It's massive.
But, you always hear it in fantasy football. Correlation isn't always causation.
Of course.
So was this just a coincidence, or did the researchers offer some, hard statistical proof that speed score is an actual driver of success?
Oh, they absolutely did. They used the Pearson correlation coefficient to test it. The value they got was 0.277.
And for listeners who maybe haven't run a correlation study recently, is 0.277 good in this context?
It's really good. In football analytics, a value over 0.1 is where you start to pay attention. So 0.277 is considered a very strong correlation.
And how does that stack up against other things we think matter?
Great question. Just for context, they ran the same test on a metric everyone values, QB draft capital.
Right.
And that factor actually yielded a negative 0.219 Pearson value.
Whoa.
The connection is much stronger.
So if we connect all the dots, what the 108 threshold and the 0.277 correlation really tells us is that speed score is successfully measuring a tight end's ability to create a mismatch.
That's the whole game right there.
You get a player who is heavy, but runs fast enough to just stress out linebackers and safeties.
Exactly. And that physical advantage, as the data shows, translates directly into reliable PPR points.
Okay, so here's your final takeaway for your next draft evaluation. If you're looking at a tight end prospect, someone who could be a weekly difference maker, you have to look for that specific 108 plus speed score threshold. because if a player falls below it, history just suggests they face a much, much steeper uphill battle to become a fantasy starter.
And what's really remarkable is that this isn't some old, outdated trend. The research confirmed this holds true even in the modern NFL. The mismatch is still king. Which, it kind of raises an important question for you to think about. If a specific metric like this can so accurately define the ideal profile for a tight end,
Yeah.
what other measurable physical traits are we maybe overlooking right now that could unlock similar predictive power at other specialized positions? It's just something to explore as you refine your own models this week.